Hello everyone, my name is Not So Average Joe, and today I'm going to be responding to Charlie Kirk, who was a guest on the Rubin Report not all that long ago. He had some fascinating things to say, so without wasting any more time, let's jump right in.
Yeah, which always stuns me. So I do a lot of campus tour. I'll tell you a quick story. A lot of campus tours, and I go through my litany of what I call hard truths.
First off, he claims that the three things he is about to say are hard truths, which to me would imply that they have been actually proven to be true with solid empirical evidence. Boy, I sure hope he doesn't proceed to say a bunch of bullshit that is backed up with no good evidence at all and still think it qualifies as a hard truth. That would be really frustrating.
And I'll say, socialism is the greatest killer of humanity in the last 100 years.
You can't just flat out say that socialism is the greatest killer of humanity in the last 100 years because it's not. America's economy is a mix between capitalism and socialism. Some of our socialist programs include our military, police force, public schools, Medicaid, and so on. So maybe what you meant to say was that communism is the greatest killer to humanity, in which case that's a conflation fallacy. Socialism and communism are not the same thing, so pretending that they are is dishonest. Next point.
I'll say free enterprise is the greatest economic system ever.
What America has right now is not free enterprise, which is what Charlie seems to be implying. What we have is a semi-planned economy, which is essentially a combination of both capitalist system and socialist system, involving government regulation of corporate interests. But this is not the point I primarily wanted to respond to in this video. It's his next point, so let's just move on.
And then I'll say three words, and it drives them so crazy. I say, God is real.
So I want you guys to remember that this ass clown said that these were hard truths. I'm sorry, Charlie. God being real is not a hard truth. A hard truth would be something like, humans need to breathe oxygen to live, or dogs exist, or something along those lines. Things that can actually be demonstrated to be true with solid empirical evidence are hard truths. The same cannot be said about God, and that's just a fact, Charlie, or a hard truth, if you will. Believing that God is real takes faith. It's not called the Christian faith for no reason. You may feel that there are good reasons to believe in your religion, which you will mention pretty soon, but it's still not a hard truth. The evidence is nowhere near that compelling.
And it's like they just start shaking. They're, ah! The left, they don't know how to handle it. And half the place loves it, half the place hates it. I don't know why that's so triggering.
Well, first of all, asshole, it might be irritating to some people on the left because you are making this bullshit conflation argument between the left and atheists. Not all liberals are atheists. There are actually plenty of Christian liberals, millions in this country, and you just shit all over them by saying this nonsense. You're alienating your own fellow Christians. Good going. Second of all, saying God is real as a hard truth would be irritating to people like me because of how arrogant it is to make a baseless assertion like that and not back it up with any evidence at all. It seems to me like you're implying that the reason we get triggered is because of that bullshit Christian talking point that goes something like this. Atheists believe in God but just don't want to admit it, or something along those lines. The reason we get annoyed at you for saying this stuff has nothing to do with your superstitious nonsense having some kind of validity to it, and everything to do with you asserting something as true without demonstrating it. I seriously doubt they get as triggered as you're claiming, but that is the reason why they are annoyed, and I think you know that, but you're too much of a smug douche to admit it.
So I'm a Christian, first and foremost. I believe, Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and he came down, and he died for all our sins, and we have a good documentation of that, and we could debate and discuss that, whatever.
Okay, so what good documentation do we have exactly? The Gospels? They weren't even written until decades after Jesus supposedly died. But even if I were to grant you that we had good documentation on Jesus' crucifixion, that would not in any way validate the Christian belief of him dying for our sins and being the son of some god. To me, it would make much more sense that there was a Jewish rabbi named Jesus who preached he was the son of God, gathered some followers, got himself crucified, and then his cult of followers spread his word and started a religion. No supernatural nonsense is required for that. That is in fact exactly how cults like Mormonism get started. I don't have much more to respond to with this guy, but I do wish Dave Rubin would actually challenge his guests a little more. It seems to me like he's just sucking this guy's dick.
Conservative, I'd say.
Let me pause
you
there for a second. Yeah. So I don't see you proselytizing religion, though, in the public way. I've heard you speak before.
Sure.
And I've never heard you push that. So
harming someone else.
How did Christians end up as so much of the butt of what the left hates? Because you can open up every day another BuzzFeed article mocking
Isn't it horrible?
white Christians and Mike and HuffPo and
They all love me, by the way.
Oh yeah, they must love you.
They must.
Yeah.
Look, Dave, I appreciate that you invite guests on that have different opinions than you. And I also appreciate that you treat said guests with respect, unlike some other news outlets I'm aware of. But there is a balance to be had. You should definitely treat your guests with respect and let them talk, but also politely challenge them on their claims, especially if they are as outrageous as this guy's. On one final note, I will say that I like that Charlie claims later in this video that he respects separation of church and state and likes to argue for his political positions from a secular standpoint. But there are still a lot of flaws in his worldview as clearly demonstrated here, and that is what I wanted to call out. So that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, feel free to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.